Big Nerd Debate podcast where all things are on the table for discussion and we're just nerds while doing it. I'm Christian Jordan.
I'm Jamie Bigby.
I'm Ashley Cherie.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are going to be talking about what our favorite movies are and what TV shows we're currently watching. So, yeah. Should I kick it off? I'll kick it off. All right. Oh, what?
No, you're going to kick it off and do movies and then go up through everyone and then do
TV
shows and go through everyone.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Are we discussing it right after the movies, or are we going to say everything that we like and then discuss it? Because we're like, yeah, this is what I like. This is a TV show I like.
So I'm going to, we'll say what movie you like, discuss why you like that movie,
Okay.
then repeat for...
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm already being ugly because I can't pinpoint exactly. All right, I'll pinpoint by the time I get to the end. But it's between these three movies currently. The Iron Giant, Spider-Man 1, and Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd used to hands down be my favorite movie.
I know.
But like I've seen that movie like 76 times. It's like, I don't know, I just really like that movie. Everything encompassing it. Like it's a musical, it's violent. I like Johnny Depp as an actor. I really like the story.
Still?
I saw it when I was still. Is he bad now? I haven't watched more of his recent
He's done
stuff.
some questionable things.
Oh, you mean like outside of the public eye type of thing?
And in a movie role
What?
recently. But go ahead, finish your explanation.
But I don't know. I just saw it when I was young and impressionable on what I liked about films and stuff like that because that movie's low key old. I think it came out in 2007. But yeah, so it was hands down my favorite movie. But I say Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire because that is just like such a good movie. When you go back and watch it, choreography, music, the script, the colors, like everything about the movie is good. And it's not just a good superhero movie. I feel like if you were to remove Spider-Man from that film or replace him with a completely different character, it's still a good cohesive movie.
But the story's good.
Yes, because, and I sat down, I watched a film analysis on it, and I agreed with this point. Honestly, if you go back and watch that movie, some of the most compelling parts and some of the best parts where you're just like, oh my goodness, like this is a good movie, it's not even the Spider-Man scenes. It's like the Peter Parker scenes or where he's interacting with like Mary Jane or Aunt May and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's a very valid point to say if you remove Spider-Man from that movie, it's still such a good movie. And Sam Raimi is just like so in love with like making films when you know like him as a director and just some of the previous projects that he's worked on and things like that. And then The Iron Giant because, bro, that movie just makes you cry, low key.
It's a good movie.
At the end,
Always one.
have some emotion, bro.
I like the movie, but it's continued.
I don't know, man. The Iron Giant was just good, bro. Like everything about that movie is just good. But I saw that when I was like really young too, so that's like I might be going more off in nostalgia right now because I forgot that movie existed until like a week ago, low key. But then when I remembered the movie, I was like, I remember everything about this movie and how much I like it. Because there are definitely a few other movies I could throw in this palette, but for the sake of this conversation right now, I'm going to say those three. But right now, if you held a gun to my head and you said, you have to choose one of these three movies or you die, I don't think the situation would ever be serious.
Why is it get that deep?
That's so random. Pick one of these three or
You're dead.
I would probably have to. Right now, I'm gonna go with Spider-Man. That's such a good movie. That's a good movie.
That's not even the best Spider-Man movie.
Yes, it is.
Like,
Yes, it is.
It's
Spider-Man 1, you can fight me on this. I don't care. We can have a whole separate episode. Spider-Man 1 is the best Spider-Man movie.
Wait, what do you
Yes,
guys
it is.
think are the best Spider-Mans?
2.
The majority say 2. The majority say Spider-Man 2.
Wait, hold on, was Sandman? Or was that the third one?
No, that's the third
Third one.
Okay.
Not the third one. Not the third one.
I think 2.
Oh, with Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most people say that's the best one. Spider-Man 1 beats Spider-Man 2 by like 0.5% for me.
I'm not even gonna hold y'all, but
You about to say something crazy.
I'm not about to say something crazy. Into the Spider-Verse was the best Spider-Man movie.
Hey,
And
I
it's
can hold
not
It's top 3.
It's not. It's not even close.
It is close.
It's top 3.
Hey, when you said that, I was like, I can't be mad at that.
Spider-Verse was so good. Top 3 is Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse.
Yes.
It was beautiful, but it wasn't even just the colors. It wasn't just how the cinematography of it, but it was more so the story was great.
Yeah.
Melding all those other parts of it, having a quirky kind of look at it. If you weren't a Spider-Man fan, and it's like, oh, this is completely plausible. They put Spider-Ham in a movie.
No,
like they put Spider-Ham in a movie and made it cohesive.
It's so good, but when I watch Spider-Man 1, like you feel that movie.
You didn't feel into the Spider-Man?
I felt into the Spider-Verse.
I felt
Spider-Man 1,
Spider-Verse
I'm
too.
telling you,
I felt
go back and watch Spider-Man 1.
2.
That world is alive. Like, you feel those people.
See, but my thing is, with Spider-Man 1, it is great. Personally, this is just me, I think Doc Ock was a better villain. Not saying that, like,
Green Goblin
wasn't great, but wasn't as good as Doc Ock. And typically, a great villain in a movie elevates the movie so much more that where I can concede some of the things that people don't like about Spider-Man 2. Yeah. But for me, they were never issues. Like, everybody's like, I can't stand Mary Jane in that movie. I actually did not mind her. She wasn't great. I'm not saying she was great, but she did not take away from it for me. And then I thought Doc Ock was so good. The emotions of seeing the way that he acted those scenes out, took it to the top for me. So yeah.
I agree. Mary Jane actually isn't bad in Spider-Man 2. I kind of said that a little bit before, but when I went back and rewatched it, her character is very validated.
Thank you.
She is extremely validated.
Thank you.
She really is. However, I will say that the chemistry between her and Peter is ever so slightly better in Spider-Man 1.
Yes, but the ever so slightly better may be true in Spider-Man 1, but because Doc Ock to me is a better villain, and I feel like the stakes end up being slightly higher because you've already done the universe in number 1 and you still have that same universe, but then they just expanded just ever so slightly. And even the fact is, like, to me, the most iconic scene when I think of Spider-Man movies is when
The train scene?
The train scene! The train scene is better than anything from Spider-Man 1.
But the one thing that tops the train scene from Spider-Man 1,
Nothing.
The bridge scene. Where he gets to the bridge and Green Goblin has a bus full of kids in one hand and Mary Jane in the other.
You're the only person
Spider-Man
ever.
pulls up. Spider-Man pulls up. Don't do it, Goblin. Let die the woman you love, or suffer the little children. And he was like, I'm not about to choose. We are who we choose to be. So choose. And he drops both of them at the same time. And this man has to run. Nah, bro.
Okay, wait.
Nah,
Slip. He's right.
No. You know what he's not right? You know why he's not right is it may have had more stakes, but as far as an iconic scene, more people when they think of Spider-Man think of the train scene before they think of that scene. Because a lot of people may not even think of that scene like top 3. Like, it's a great scene.
It's a 3? Alright, 1 second. Okay, pause for a half a second. I just realized we could low-key make this a whole episode in itself if I need so I can edit this out. But each one of us talk about why our favorite movie is our favorite movie. Then we could do what we're watching next for the next episode.
Sounds good.
Alright, you go ahead.
Okay. The reason that is more so recognizable is because of Tobey Maguire's face, and he looks like he was about to like poop on himself. Like, you know, that's that he made. Like, he looked
that's a very good point. That's what
it's more of a meme than it was anything else.
That's what makes Spider-Man 1 and 2 so good, aside from the other Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 1 and 2 use the most practical effects. Yes. Like, they use a lot of practical effects. And all the new ones, like even Far From Home, great Spider-Man movie, the action scenes were great. But I don't feel Tom Holland getting hurt. When you go back and watch Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man films, you feel his punches. You see his suit tear when he's straining every fiber of his being to stop that train. And when his spider sense kicked in the overdrive and he low-key saw into the future, I was like, excuse me?
What was probably the most real thing from that movie, and I felt it, and even when I was little, I was like, "Oh man!" Like when that bomb blew up in his face, and you could see
a grenade
to the face, like, bro, and then like, and you heard his scream, like, bro.
Even the warehouse fight, even y'all sleep, bro. The whole warehouse fight ending with Goblin, Spider-Man got.
I will say, honestly, I think I need to go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
I forgot. It's so weird. I always mix Spider-Man.
Because you haven't seen him in a while.
Don't comfort me. I always mix up 2 and 3 in my mind.
Oh, dare you.
Dang, that's great.
You're disrespectful.
That's disrespectful.
Bro, it's literally been that long since I've watched him, though.
Bro,
that's the reason why.
That's the problem.
Bro, when his best friend comes for him, ready to kill Spider-Man, you killed my father.
Rips off the mask.
Bro, come on,
No,
dog.
but even bro,
Nah,
at the end of Spider-Man 1, when Mary Jane is like, the truth is I love you, and she kisses him, and he's like, and he walks away, he's like, this is my gift, my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man, narrating, and Mary Jane grabs her, and she turns around. She knew he was Spider-Man at the end of the first movie, bro. She peeped it, bro. She just didn't say anything. When you see the impact in her face, bro, the upside down kiss in the rain?
That was slick.
Spider-Man 1 got more iconic scenes than you think, bro.
Spider-Man, like, honestly, I forgot about that scene where he's like, you have to choose. I was like, wait, if you listen to the script, if you listen to what they're talking about,
It was in that moment that he realized what it meant to be a hero. He was like, oh, this isn't a game. Like, this is not a game. And one more thing I'll say before we move on to the next. When he's in the hospital, and he for some reason he gets the notion to call Mary Jane because he's like, oh, she might be in danger. This man calls Mary Jane, and Green Goblin picks up the phone, and he's like, can Spider-Man come out to play? He is a menace. That is a good villain. You call your girlfriend and Green Goblin picks up the phone?
Even more savage than that. Rolling up on.
When he rolled up on Aunt May mid-prayer, busted through the window. She's like, Lord, protect us. Bust through the window.
The sacrilegious nature of that, where he was just like, finish it.
She's in the middle of prayer, he blows up her room. Makes her finish the prayer.
Hey, that's the only thing that saved her life was finishing the prayer.
Yo, Willem Dafoe was a boss.
He was.
Oh, yeah, he was a really good goblin.
Yeah.
He's actually one of the most underrated villains in all comic book movie history. Like
Is he underrated?
remembering that scene where he's like, you had to choose, like that monologue in and of itself.
When you go back and think, like, if you were like to do a full list, I don't feel like he would be underrated. I feel like people will actually give him the credit he deserves. But it's just because the MCU, you don't think of
villains is trash.
Yeah, and you don't think of anything. You don't think of anything MCU related, like Spider-Man would be in the MCU, until you think of the MCU. So like all the movies beforehand, like you think of some of the iconic moments, but you don't think of some of the iconic characters.
True. So, Jamie, what's your favorite movie?
Can't be about to say this. So, Django Unchained is hands down the greatest movie of all time. But also, my close number 2, I had to wrestle with this for a long time, Inception. And how beautiful it was to see.
I'm like guilty. I haven't seen that movie yet.
It's okay. It took me.
No, it's not.
It took me until 4 years ago. I didn't see it, so you do you.
But it's Leonardo DiCaprio. I just feel like it has to be amazing.
Wait, Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the greatest actors of all time, if not the greatest.
Yes.
This man is straight fire in everything he's in.
He's one of the greatest.
He's
of all time.
top
Straight fire.
He's top 3. He is
For
in
me,
the
top
argument
3.
for top 3.
Oh, definitely.
Leo is one of those actors. If you're watching a trash movie, if he's in it, it's tolerable.
He said, "I will put this movie on my back, and
Yes.
we gonna be all right."
I have to go back and look at his filmography. I'm not saying he
Well,
hasn't been really.
start with Django Unchained.
Oh, I've seen it. I'm not saying all of his stuff is like. I think that most of his stuff is really good, but I'd have to go back when you say top 3 of all time. I just have to go back and just look at his full filmography.
Valid.
True. But yeah, Django. This is one thing I love about Quentin Tarantino. He does not hold back with his violence. Somebody gets shot in Django Unchained, and he uses like a gallon of blood. You get shot, there is like.
It was more so a joke. I felt as if that was like more so of a joke in and of itself. It's like this man is like blowing up. It was just one bullet round. Of course, that's not gonna happen.
It's like a 6-shooter from the 1800s, and people getting shot in just gallons of blood. That movie, yes. I'm not mad at you for saying that. It's not like groundbreaking story or anything like that, but if you're just watching a movie for sheer entertainment, I'm not upset at you saying that's your favorite.
That KKK scene, I don't care what anybody says. That was probably one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so my favorite movie, I think
I know what you're gonna say.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Count on Monte Cristo. It is such a good movie. I think it started off as a book. I wasn't introduced to it that way, so I still haven't read the book yet. But when the casting for that was great.
Yes.
The whole story of redemption in that, where he's just like, you did me dirty. I've been in this prison cell. I'ma escape in this bag, like the dead man's bag. and he escapes, and he's like in the ocean, escapes from that, and then like him just finding Jesus and all, like even though they never blatantly said it, finding Jesus,
and they did that so well because that's the problem. Like we were talking about this on the way here. Sorry, we were talking about this on the way here about how like Christian movies are so like cheesy and lame.
We were talking about
The Count of Monte Cristo isn't a Christian movie, but it is.
Yeah.
Because you see this man learn how to like accept forgiveness. You see him get touched by somebody else who believes in God, and you just see like he has like the opportunity to exact his revenge. Like, and he this man becomes a count. Like he becomes like the top. He becomes the top 1% just to get his revenge, and then he gets to it. And he's like,
nah.
I'm
gonna walk away from.
Well, he did off 2 folks that were like he did. He did off 2 folks. But actually, you know how Lion King is like animal.
Hamlet.
Mm-hmm. This is the Count of Monte Cristo is kind of a newer age Joseph story. That's literally Joseph's story from the Bible. It's the exact same thing.
I hadn't even thought about that.
The exact same thing.
That's probably my favorite scene though. Is just like they go through the scenes of him just like talking to this guy. I always forget the guy's name because it's actually been a few years since I've seen it. But talking to. Not Jacopo, not his side man, not his right hand man, but the guy who was like basically Paul. Him going through talking with him, I don't believe in that. Then like having that chance to escape and then being like, yo, I'm gonna carry that with me, like all the stuff you taught me. Just that escape scene alone. Them chiseling away to their freedom.
oh bruh. Because how long was he in prison? Like 10, 15 years?
It was
and they were literally
like
hitting at the wall. Like they were like, we're going to get out of here.
Oh man, great movie. Go watch it. Zach, what's your favorite?
Oh no, I was just thinking about that movie because I've never seen it.
Oh, you gotta see it.
Yeah, add it to the collection.
It's like it's good.
True. Honestly, I really still do not know. I have a lot of movies that I really enjoy. Recently, over the last several years, I've been trying to get more into movies. But even with that, there's a lot of movies where I'll do a lot of. There's a few people who I trust their reviews on because they don't. A lot of times they'll do a spoiler or a non-spoiler review if it's something that I'm actually really interested in, and they'll dive into like the filmography, the story, the writing, the way that the actors or actresses portray the different characters and stuff like that. So like I've been getting more into movies in general through that avenue, but there's still things that I just don't watch because like I'm not a huge scary movie fan or things that like don't really correlate with my values. Don't think that was the right word, but don't align with my values. I'm glad I got myself. But don't align with my values. So like honestly, the movie that I've seen the most is probably it's probably Space Jam.
I knew you were about to say.
For half a second, I thought you were going to say Toy Story.
Honestly, the Toy Story series is probably second. Like my favorite genre of movie is still animated movies to this day, and I think ever since Pixar has come out, they've changed the game with those type of movies because they don't just have to be movies for children, and that's what I really enjoy is they make a great movie in general. And it just has the filter that children will be easier for them to digest a lot of the subject matter. So like Toy Story, the whole Toy Story franchise is just A1 since day one. And then I've also really been enjoying like Lion King is like sentimental good. It's not like my favorite movie of all time. The Goofy movie, you can add me to this day. I hate musicals. But that movie, it hits on different levels with all of the songs.
Goofy movie is every Disney movie.
I don't care what you say to me. I don't typically like movies with a lot of songs in them in general. Singing songs.
But that's like every Disney movie though.
It's not a musical. It's a movie.
I know what a musical is.
So you really enjoy Lion King despite all the singing?
Yeah, those are like the only two.
Okay.
You have so much potential to like musicals. I just think you haven't heard the right one.
That's not true. I literally only like 2 movies that have a lot of singing in it. That's 2. Like all the other ones you can name.
I feel like you generally like Disney though.
I actually like Pixar more, and they don't do as much singing in it. Like they'll have songs in the undertone, but they don't do singing.
Yeah.
It is a big difference.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
That's a huge
I still
difference.
think you sleep though. Musicals be hitting.
No, I don't really. That's just. I don't really like plays. I don't like music. That's just not my thing. Because most of the time I'm like, yeah, it just does not do nothing for me. Like literally zero. So
Like,
Yeah.
but The Lion King had one of the best Disney Disney
Sorry,
songs
audio.
ever though.
which is
That hula dance.
you're so.
Yeah.
That's his favorite. That's his favorite part.
That's the best part of the movie.
Go ahead and hit it real quick. He was talking about this.
Hoo-ah!
He barely did.
All right, so we're over the 2/3 mark. So
Can we go back and can I go back and ask a question then?
yeah.
Yes.
I feel like it's better for me to really dive in. What is your favorite villain from a movie?
You caught me off guard.
I know.
This is where Sweeney Todd comes back into play.
Oh my, there's no way. He's the
No, okay. If we were talking about,
I didn't say who's the best. Who's your favorite? That's all.
who's my favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Cause Judge Turpin.
Oh, okay. You
This
think
hard.
he broke his brain?
This is hard.
My favorite, not who's the best.
Yes.
Ooh, you put me on the spot right there.
Ashley, you have one?
I can't think of just because you just asked me on the spot. I will say, for me, because we've discussed this more recently, it's a toss up between Thanos and Killmonger for me as a villain, because they're not like Thanos's agenda is not. Well, it's inherently wrong to want to wipe out half the population, but it's things we all think about. It's like, oh man, the
That's when you said that. I don't think about genocide. You think about genocide?
I think about the world.
What?
You guys don't think about population and things like that, and how people constantly
Yes,
say
but
the
I've
world's
not once
overpopulated?
thought that slaughtering half of everything is the key.
No, I said that's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
No, okay. It's just the way you said it. The way you said it, you was like, we all think of that. Like,
No, we all think about the
ways to solve.
ways to solve problems in the world.
Yeah.
How can we make sure everyone eats? How can we make sure that there's no poor people, there's no one who's homeless, things like that. So I think his inherent the idea of making sure everyone has enough is not wrong, but his approach is clearly terrible. But I was in the movies and I was like, all right, the Avengers are gonna eventually pap this guy up. You get to the 30-minute mark and they not papping him up yet. And then it gets closer to the end, I'm like, I don't think it's time in the story for them to pap Thanos up. And then they get to the end, it's like, he accomplished exactly what he set out to do, and that's one of the reasons.
Talking about Infinity War.
In Infinity War, which makes sense because it's they said there would be 2 parts, so of course, in order to have a story, the villain has to win in the first half. But it's just
you said favorite villains from a movie or in general?
Movie.
All right, from a movie. I was about to say Joker, but not in a movie.
You don't like Heath Ledger?
No, he is. But if I had to be my favorite in a movie, it's between Green Goblin and freaking Judge Turpin. Because Judge Turpin, I don't know, y'all haven't seen Sweeney Todd. Have you? Oh, but he's all right, basically, the reason Sweeney Todd gets all crazy and corrupt anyway is because Judge Turpin sees his wife gets jealous, so he puts a false charge on him, and he sends him away to, Peru or something like that for 15 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm just that's just a menacing act type of thing. And you said, what?
We low-key have the same favorite movie then.
Oh, here's the difference between Sweeney Todd, though, and The Count of Monte Cristo. Sweeney Todd shows you the perspective of when you let revenge consume you. Yo! Chuck, slick. Okay, I'm tracking with you. No, slick, bro. There's a message. Dang. All right, I'm going to Judge Judge Turpin.
I had to go with Heath Ledger. For right now,
I'm not mad.
Initial thought of it, and not sitting down and going through different movies that I've seen, I had to say Heath Ledger. That man, he killed it as Joker.
He set a new standard.
Oh, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, and what just popped in my head because I had somebody else, And I was like, I figured all of these, well, I didn't figure yours, but I figured the rest of these would get hit. I was like, yeah, Thanos, Killmonger, Joker. No one's gonna say Darth Vader? Like,
he's so complex though. He's not fully a villain. Like he is.
See, but the thing is, that's what makes a really good villain, and that's the reason I like Killmonger as well. And even like the parts of Thanos I liked is there were so many layers of.
Yeah.
If you really know why he's doing some of the things, you wouldn't say he's a villain by himself. But then if you take one movie or two movies or three movies, you're like, he's a villain. But then you go and you find out his past, you're like, oh. But then, so it's like, to me, he may not be my favorite of all time, but he is probably the most iconic villain.
Oh no, he definitely is.
What movie was that? Was that
Joker's really close though, because
not movie wise. If you say overall encompassing villain, Joker and Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine is comparable. If you say movie wise, who is the most iconic villain, hands down, I guarantee you is Darth Vader.
Also,
I guarantee that, but true.
What movie was that? Was it Rogue One? What movie was it?
Rogue One, where Vader pulled up in the hallway with the lightsaber and everybody.
That literally the rest of the movie was like good, but you get to that 2.5 minutes, you're like,
was worth it.
He's so strong.
The whole movie was worth that 2-minute slaughter. It was like Vader pulled up and went in. Get out my face.
The entire ship was destroyed just because that man showed up, man.
He wrecked.
Big strong.
All of them.
Bro, he big.
They were banging at the door. Let us in.
No, they were real ones. You don't remember? They closed the door. They was like, we gonna just try.
It was like when he grabbed the laser bullet and
he
threw it at
he didn't grab it. He stopped it with the force and said, "Stupid!" As if I had to with a tan.
No, He grabbed it. I promise you, he grabbed it.
Are you sure?
I've watched that scene more times than I want to admit. Kylo Ren stopped it at one point.
And then let it
But Vader, he grabbed that with his glove and he pushed it at somebody else.
True.
That jump was tough.
Bruh.
I could keep talking about it for another 15 minutes, but we are running low on time. So we're going to go ahead and conclude this episode with any parting words. Are y'all done?
Yeah.
Make sure that you guys are letting us know down in the comments what your favorite villain are and what your favorite movies are. If there's one movie or villain that is really requested, we may even try to watch it and then give you our feedback on that movie type of thing. So
Right. Well, with that, I thought you were about to say something.
Nah, I'm good.
With that,
I'm just happy to be here.
oh, Joe. With that being said, this has been another rendition. Is that the correct word? I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I like being unique with my
It did not
vocabulary.
work.
With that being said, this has been another episode of the Never Ending Nerd Debate Podcast, TNEND.
Yeah!
I don't know if that was audio friendly, but say hello to your eardrums. Say hello to your eardrums for us. We will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to give us a like and a comment. Not
I
a
don't want to listen.
a rate. Yeah, and listen. Yeah, that's important too. Grow the audience. All right. Bye.